Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. I, of course, am Tracy, and before I let my guest introduce herself, I am asking a special favor. I've been asking this for weeks, but I don't know if people are doing this. Share, backtrack. First of all, like this page. Like this page. That way, when more people look to find Dr. West in the algorithm, this show will show up. Um, Please like this page. Share this page to your social media. It costs you $0 to share this. I know some of you have Facebook and you could be sharing it, but for some reason you don't. So please share this to Facebook. And I just lost my little light here. No, I didn't. My light just went out. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. But share this video to Facebook, I don't know if you can share it to Instagram, but you get the picture. Share it, share it, share it, share it, share it. Because our viewership is a little bit down. Of course, if you don't know this show's format by now, I will explain it again. I take 5 to now 10 of the dumbest things that I've ever heard in terms of Dr. West's campaign, and we debunk those, and we have a few laughs while we go about it. So let's see who has checked in. Nelson is in the house. Here we sit like birds in the wilderness waiting for the rest to come home. How is it going, Tracy? Don't ask us today ain't today. How is everything with you? It could be better, but the alternative is even worse, so it is what it is. So I'm going to let my guest introduce herself, and we'll start the show off.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Oh, good. Hi. So my name is Madeline Peru. I'm based speaking to you from Brooklyn, New York here. I am not involved or haven't ever been civically involved before joining the Cornel West campaign as Love Warrior. And I don't know why, but I feel like I want to show this because it it feels good to be able to have those words around my neck. It feels good to be able to see um, that message around me where I have my little posters and things, and to be reminded that there's something beautiful, and there's a bunch of people that believe in something beautiful that I believe in, and that there's that I have hope. So I'm not familiar with your show, Tracy, but thank you for inviting me. I'm a musician, and that's probably why I got involved in listening to Dr. West, because of how much he talks about music and relates philosophy and love and art and God and things like that into a world that I'm very familiar with. So I don't know how much you want to hear about me in this, but I appreciate being invited. And um, what can I do? What can I say?
Well,
Where do you want me to go?
yeah, so you've already answered the first question because I always ask, the first question I always ask is why is it, and you can expand on this, why is it that you support Dr. West?
Mm, 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 mm. I well, um, so I'm sort of an autodidact, as it were. Like I try to read. I never finished high school, but I try to educate myself about the world, and so I've been aware of Dr. West for a long time, since the 90s, since Race Matters. I remember seeing him on television a lot, and seeing him in a lot of places. I've never read the full book of Race Matters, but I've tried to spend some time reading it. Um, and I basically, in 2020, I became obsessed with finding his voice, his words anytime I could. Obviously, the world was facing um, a lot of tragedy, and I was, like everybody else, I was forced to uh, be alone with myself and be alone with um, the realities that are happening around me without really much leadership. So I was looking to Dr. West for leadership in my, intellectual and my cognitive life, in my own spiritual life, which is frankly not a very religious life at all. In fact, I'm kind of an atheist, and Dr. West might be one of the only people I've ever heard who can be inclusive of all of the things that I believe in, which is humanity, which is um, the words of Jesus when he speaks the message of love, the gospel words, uh, which is more of to the left when it comes to economic policy. It's inclusive. His messages are always have always been, really fascinating to me, and I could just learn from him. So I've been listening to him, and he was actually one of the only voices of solace in my world for about a year and a half after the murder of George Floyd on May 25th in 2020. And of course, when I started taking part in BLM marches here in New York City around that time. And that was several years ago now. And, when Cornel West suddenly announced that he was running for president, I was like, no brainer, no brainer. My heart is already there. And so this is about, I don't know, I recently went to a rally, first time I ever been to a rally. I went to a rally in Harlem on Tuesday about a week ago or so. And there's, um, there was a message everybody was saying at the time, this is a moment in a movement. And I would have thought that you'd set it up the opposite way, that it's about Dr. West and it's about his movement, and this moment, this is our movement, and this is just a moment. We're going to get through this moment and to the next moment, to the next moment. But instead, it was a moment that that it's not about Dr. West. As he doesn't position himself as the face of the movement. He positions himself as part of the great legacy of really amazing people, namely the Black American people, and the culture and the history that has become some of the best of American history and culture for everyone that is in this country. And that's an idea that I share, that I probably can't articulate as well as he can, but I think it's a fascinating thing to talk about. And I'd like to be part of the message of truth, justice, and love. At the end of the day, I don't have anything more than that to live for right now. And that's not to say I don't have a life, but yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I forgot to plug some websites. Please visit CornelWest2024.com. Volunteer, volunteer, and volunteer. Ballot access is the utmost important thing, although there are other ways you can volunteer. But ballot access, well, at least in Indiana, that's our focus right now. Um, you can donate. You can learn about the platform. You can learn about his vice presidential pick, Dr. Melina Abdullah, et cetera, et cetera. As anybody that watches this show often knows, that this website will be flashed on the screen during parts of the show. And Hoosiers for Cornel West are sponsoring a comedy showcase. It is a virtual event. We got 2 comics that are going to be entertaining us. That is a Tuesday, but we're still going to have fun. It's June the 18th. There's the link. I'll leave it up for just a little bit. But you can register and we'll tell you how to donate. It is a small donation, but all of those funds raised will go towards ballot access and getting Dr. West on the ballot in each of the 50 states. That's the utmost important thing. So, first question, as usual, again, explaining this show, I take 5 to 7 of the dumbest things I have ever heard about Dr. West. We discuss them. I will interject my own answers. I always do. Um, and so let's start off with the most common one. I know you've heard it. I've heard it. Everybody that's for Dr. West has heard it. A vote for Dr. Cornel West is a vote for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm. Right. Is it to me to answer that?
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I mean, there's several problems with the idea that we're just going to sit back and accept that it's going to be a two-party system that is run by 1% of the population, because that's where the funding is, and that nothing's ever going to change. So number one, it doesn't have to be that way. If you never get outside of that thinking, then there is no other alternative. For me, it's a bad idea, because the constituency is not, those people are just not going to vote because it's too depressing. Why would you even vote? The other thing that bothers me about the whole concept is that there is within the political system a lot of mechanisms that have to do with power once you have a constituency that backs you. So it's a vicious cycle to make that argument if you don't give somebody a chance to be heard. And so getting of course, with Dr. West, it's even more specifically ridiculous, because we're just talking about getting him on the ballot as an independent. We're not even talking about Green Party or third party politics, where there actually, are some real numbers. We're not even there yet. So why, for me, like, I would rather begin by saying, let's get to know each other as human beings that care about something, and be really honest about the fact that politics is a personal decision, and you can't just support whoever somebody else tells you to support. So if you listen to somebody like Dr. West, I don't see why you wouldn't be honest in your heart and go for it. But maybe I'm not used to answering this. You put me on the spot.
Yeah, but that's the number one thing we're going to hear, especially us in the street, in those streets. Yeah, I'm using that term again. That are collecting signatures. I hear it all the time, and people literally. I don't like to call people stupid, because that's just not a word I like to use, but they come up with some stupid reasons not to vote for a third-party candidate. And when I say third-party candidate, I'm talking about Dr. West in this particular instance. I'm not talking about Jill Stein or Claudia Dacre. I'm not talking about any of those. I'm just specifically talking about Dr. Cornel West, whom this show is named after. I only have one vote. I got one vote. I'm voting for Dr. West. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you argue. If you wanted me, because it's always Democrats, I'm going to sub-argue this. They always come up with, well, this will be another one. Well,
it's interesting, yeah, that you say it's always Democrats, but you know that finding solidarity with the people that might want to vote for him, it could be from both sides, really. So
no, but what I'm saying is, it's the Democrats that are always making that argument. They made it in 2020. They made it in 2016. They made it in 2012. Ever since I became a registered voter, they've always made this a vote for an independent candidate is a vote for the Republicans. They have stuck with that argument at least for 30-something plus years. Don't
Well, what?
talk
Yeah.
about the good things that Joe Biden done, which is zero, in my opinion. Don't talk about what he's gonna do in the next 4 years, which is nothing. Let's just say, oh well, you gotta vote for him because you'll get Trump. I'm not scared of Trump. I want everybody to know this. I want everybody to know I'm doing a special. Stop using the Project 2025 to scare me to vote for Trump because it's not going to work. Because I
But that
just
doesn't scare you to vote for him. That
no, but it's
scares you to
being
vote for Biden. You mean?
yeah, it's to scare me to use
Yeah.
to scare me to vote for Biden, and it's getting on my nerves. It's like no, I have this vote. I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm not going to support genocide. I don't care. You can say what you want. You might try this. You might try this. Do better. I don't know. There's options. There's things you could actually do. Well, not for me because I'm not voting Democrat. I'm done. I'm just done. But if you
Where
want,
are you, Tracy? Where
I am
Where
in
are
the
you?
I'm in the great state of Indiana,
Wow. What part of Indiana are you? Up in North?
Indianapolis.
Okay. All right. I think I was just there,
Well,
but I didn't know you were there. Yeah.
yep. So that
That's
that
tough.
argument that is the number one argument that petition gatherers hear.
Yeah.
It is the number one, and it just annoys me because, again, you only have the one vote. That's all I get. I get one vote. And technically, I don't even vote for president. The Electoral College picks the president, not me.
Mm-hmm. And then the whole state goes for whatever that was. So your state, your entire state, is. I remember living in Tennessee, which was a red state. I remember the year 2000. I think I was living in Tennessee, in Nashville. And I definitely felt like my vote didn't count at all. That because the state went for George W. Bush, and then of course we had the 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 Supreme Court had to rule on whether or not uh, they were going to recount the votes down in Florida between Al Gore and George Bush, and a lot of people blamed the Green Party that year for uh, for taking votes away with Ralph Nader. And if you can get into some real specific statistics and be like, well, actually, Ralph Nader didn't have anything to do with those, but he made it close enough so that there was a chance that you'd have to recount the votes down there in Florida, and that Florida was the deciding state.
I love that
The,
whole take away votes thing. Like the votes belong to him. Like it was like, yeah, this is my vote. So he just came and he stole it. He said, okay, I'm going to take these votes because they just belong to him. I'm like, come on.
mm-hmm. So yeah, although that's the reality, though. Like for example, I live in Brooklyn, New York, and so I'm one out of, well, in New York City, at least 8 million to 14 million people in the region that uh, are majority Democrat usually. In the New York City area, in the state, it goes Democrat, but it's a different proportion. So my vote doesn't count very much here. If I lived in Indiana, my vote might be proportionally, because of the population of the state, my vote might be worth a little bit more. If I moved to Montana, my vote would be worth a lot, or
Here's what
North Dakota.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, but here's what I'll say to that. Well, if you live in a battleground state, I don't care if I lived in Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Minnesota. I'm still voting for Dr. West. I don't care. I don't care what state I live in. The vote is still the same. Period. I'm so tired. Well, if you live in a battleground state, no. What do you get for voting for Joe Biden? $2,000, 2,000 bombs, 2,000 pound bombs dropped. Well, I don't know why. Just sign me up right now. Where do I sign that? I don't understand people. I don't understand people. The
Can I
logic.
ask you what if you'll talk? I mean, you probably done it before, but you asked me why I would vote, why I am voting for Cornel West, and why I'm here on this campaign. Can I go ahead and ask you to talk about that too? Why?
Consistency. Dr. West, it's a strange story because I was not a West supporter in the Obama years because I was on that DNC trip. I don't know what happened. I was just on it. You couldn't say anything bad about Obama to me. Nothing.
Yeah, me
And
too.
when Dr. West was criticized, I'm like, you can't criticize him.
Hmm.
And what are you talking about?
Hmm.
Boy, did I wake up. And when I realized, I'm like, oh, he's right. Everything he's saying is correct. Every criticism he's saying is correct. The man literally threw black people under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And then wonders why people like Dr. West are so critical of him. Um, but to me, it's number one, the platform. The platform to me is probably I'll just say it's the strongest platform I've ever read. Ever. I've never read a platform that's more detailed, that covers a wide range of issues, and it's in a way that I can understand it.
Hmm.
Um, I also believe that Dr. West is consistent, and that's important
Mm-hmm.
to me. Like, you're not going to tell him what to say or what to think. He's going to say what he says, and he's going to do what he does. Um, and those are, I mean, I did that like the first episode of the show. I went on a 47-minute diatribe about why I voted, why I'm going to support him, and why I'm going to advocate for him. But those are just, I mean, in a nutshell, it's the consistency. um I still haven't read Race Matters. I know I'm going to. I promise I'm going to get the book on audio and just listen to it. But I can't think, even with all the other third party candidates, he stands head and shoulders above the rest of them.
Sure. Well, I
Um,
haven't spent a lot of time listening to some of the other candidates, but I have heard it doesn't compare. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I would still need to be hearing all of the things that Cornel West says on a daily basis in these in these platforms, like you said, consistency. It would be the same if he weren't running for president. He'd still be saying the same things, and that is amazing to me too. This is a real
absolutely,
human being who cares about human beings,
absolutely,
and he will, no matter what happens today, tomorrow, the next day, and in November, he's still going to be there. He's going to be himself, whether he, you know, um, whether it comes by. Oh, I'm reminded of this poem by Robert Frost. It says, "Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice." Remember that? From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, and from what I believe something, I forgot one part. If it had to perish twice, ice is also great and would suffice. It had something to do with how cold the world can be. It can be a
absolutely.
cold, lonely place, and this is I think this is definitely a special moment in the world. I think Dr. West knows so much about history that I've heard that he would not be running as an ignorant third party candidate. He's running for a reason. He's running not necessarily because he wants to be president. I think he's running because he knows we need him, and
We
that's different.
definitely, yeah, that's totally
I
different.
mean, I don't know. That means a lot to me, but maybe not to some other people.
Yeah,
I don't believe you can convince anybody to vote for Dr. West, because I don't believe that that's the sort of thing that people want to be convinced of who to vote for. But maybe some people do want you to tell them. I think the main thing right now is, does he deserve to be on the ballot? Of course. it's so clear. Like, why would you ever tell somebody, no, you don't deserve to be on the ballot?
Well,
Anybody.
see, then now we're getting to ballot access, which is a discussion that I'd love to do on a whole separate podcast.
Okay.
The It's control, right? If you can, I mean, you have I don't know if you're familiar with the show The View, which I
Yeah.
call The Puke. Um, they had on Charlemagne the God, and he was like, "Well, there's only two choices." And I'm sitting there thinking, no, there's more than two choices for president. There's 100 people, over 100 people running for president of the United States. How come we don't know about them?
Mm.
Um, we don't know about them because it's did intentionally. You limit the choices. You make people feel as though, well, if you talk to a Trump supporter, I'm pretty sure a Trump supporter says if you vote for whoever the libertarian candidate is, you're voting for Biden. I'm pretty sure of it, not 100%, because I rarely hear Republicans raise that point. But it's intentional, right? You limit because, well, here's what I'll say, and then I'll get to my point. They only play enemies on TV. So if they make people think, oh, the Republicans are evil, look at all the things they're doing. They're trying to limit voters' rights and women's rights and blah, blah, blah. And the Democrats sit back and watch it happen. You could either be stabbed in the back by the Democrats or stabbed in the front
Mm-hmm.
by Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
That's deep.
that's an intentional thing. And I think, you know, we read these surveys all the time when people say, I want to vote for a third party, but yet they'll fall into the trap of, well, I got to vote this way. Well, no, you don't have to vote that way. You can go into the booth and make a choice, make the best choice, which is Dr. Cornel West. But we got to move on to number two. The number two one is this one. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get some water because my throat is dry. Now is not the time for Dr. West to run.
Mm. Oh, and it's to me to respond to that.
Yeah, because when I say this, you just go ahead and just respond.
It's just, it's never not the time for Dr. West to run. It's never not the time. Well, first of all, America has yet to meet the best of itself. It has yet to attain what it thinks it is, what it thinks of how it thinks of itself, how it presents itself. And America has yet to achieve being that dream, that city on the hill, that, America has achieved a lot. It represents a lot of beautiful things. It doesn't actually follow through on those things. A lot of people around the world know that in some ways they're safer living in this country because they have better free speech here. They have better protections well, it depends on where you live and what you're trying to do with your life. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are much safer here in America than anywhere else in the world. Like openly gay, or even trans and various kinds of LGBTQIA. There's also just the basic idea of free speech that is not available to a lot of people. But what Cornel West knows, and what I think more than the man himself, but the campaign represents, is the idea that we could actually have a real democracy, a real representational democracy, where things get done, where people are treated like human beings, and that they have they can expect to be, to have the quality of life that a basic human being should have, and that there aren't some people that are allowed to take other people's lives to be meaningless. I'm sorry, I got off track because I didn't expect. So, what was the question?
Now is not the time for Dr. West to run.
Yeah, when is it? When is the time?
Oh,
How
let me
many
answer
people
that
need to
question.
die?
Yeah, I got to jump in here and answer it. Never. It's never the time for them. They always talk this, it's not the right time. And they never say what the time is. It's 4 years. Oh, one got smart and said, well, it was 20 years ago. What, so you his daddy now? Like he's got to ask you, can he run? Nobody sits around and just thinks, you know what? I don't got nothing to do. I'm going to run for president of the United States. That's what I'm going to do. What? Who does that? If not now, when?
Yeah.
If not now, when? When will be the time? You don't want to define it because to you never is the time. You want us to comply with the duopoly and sit here and expect just roll over and just take whatever you give us, spend more money on the military, don't address the homelessness crisis, don't address food deserts, don't address income inequality. But we're supposed to go. Well, see, I could go off right there. I could go off, but I'm not because I got a guest this week. But if I was by myself, I would go on that one because it doesn't make any sense. I do want to get to some comments here before I move on to come back to that because there's one more thing I do want to say on that. So Nelson says, I didn't know about the rally in Harlem. Otherwise, I would have been there. It would have been great to meet Dr. West and Dr. Finkelstein. Nelson, go to cornelwest.com, to cornelwest2024.com and register. You'll get updates because I got my update. Of course, I live in Indiana and couldn't come. So what we need to do here in New York is to get people to sign the petition to put Dr. West on the ballot. Yes, that's the main thing right now. Brian, hello, Brian. We need a philosopher president or an office holder, period.
See, that's another reason to put him on the ballot, because anytime it just giving, recognizing that Cornel West has a following and a constituency and a voice, he could end up being in the next administration if he doesn't end up being the president of the United States. And I apologize if I'm speaking blasphemy on your podcast where you want this to be the world where he's already the president.
Yeah, he's already the president.
I'm going to take anything I can get.
See, I won't. No.
I don't want to take nothing.
I accept nothing less than the White House.
Well, I can respect you for that. I have great admiration.
Hence the show being called Congratulations to the 47th President.
You're right. You're right. I shouldn't have said that.
Sure, but I get where you're going at. I do get where you're going. Charlemagne did not know about them, and he is God. Well, no, he's not, but I...
What? He did not know.
Free propaganda. That's exactly what it is, though. It's propaganda. It's like, oh my gosh, y'all got to be... And they just say it with such confidence. Like, yeah, now is not the time. We tell you when it's the time. And... henceforth, never is the time. It's never going to be the time for a person like Dr. West to run because he's against the system. He wants to get into the empire to destroy the empire. It's never going to be the right time for him to run.
That's true.
It's never going to be the right time for him to run. And some people are okay, and I think we had to face this in the West campaign, us West supporters. Some people are okay with the way things are. Some people will tell you, oh, well, Joe Biden is doing terrible things by supporting Israel, but I don't live in Palestine. My children don't live in Palestine. I'm going Bible. I am my brother's keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And injustice, I think it was Dr. King that said it, and injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And I'm going to go back to I am my brother's keeper. If something's happening to somebody in Palestine that is not right, I'm going to say something about it. And I'm going to say something about it, whether it's in Indianapolis, Minnesota, Arkansas, Alabama, New York, Afghanistan. It doesn't matter to me. But I just think some people are so comfortable with the way things are.
I agree. People are willing to let somebody else suffer, and that kind of they're willing to say, well, it's not me right now, so I'm not going to get up and get involved.
And
And I think, and a lot of people do need to protect themselves. And maybe that is the first priority. Maybe you got a whole bunch of kids that you're taking care of, and you're just trying to pull that together. Maybe that's got to be your priority right now. Maybe the time for you to join a political campaign is not now, but that's not the same thing as just signing a petition and putting your name on a list that says, please, can this man have a voice in a country that defines itself as real a real democracy, and one of the first democracies, and the most, definitely the most powerful country in the world still. There, like you said, being your brother's keeper. It's one thing to say that when you don't have any power, but this country has power. It's just there's a whole lot of us that are not part of that are not being heard.
yeah. Yep. And the other point before we move on to the next one, stop criticizing the Democrats and then going to vote for them. Stop criticizing the Republicans and then you vote for them. When you vote for them, you're saying you're okay with what they're doing. Until you vote different, you won't get different. You're going to keep getting the same thing. Remember what I said in the beginning. They only pretend to be enemies on TV. They vote for the same bills. They vote to increase military budgets.
That's right.
They vote to I think the
They all
Republicans
invest in the same oil
same thing.
companies.
I think the Republicans actually criticized Biden for not giving enough money to Israel, and we're trying to do like an impeachment thing. I'm like, really, really? They're for the same thing. They vote the same way. They only pretend to be enemies on TV, and. Okay, so we're gonna move on to number 3 because I could just keep going on that one because I'm just so sick of people just complaining. You have a choice. You can sign your name to support Dr. West in your state. And if somebody asks you there for the West campaign to sign a petition, sign it. That's number 1 thing. Number 2, you can be a petition gatherer. I don't know any state that's not in need of somebody to help gather petitions. Except for the other states where he's already on the ballot. Those states don't need anything. The rest of us, we need volunteers. That's the other thing you can do. But essentially, stop voting the same and then you somehow it's like, oh, it's going to be different this time. I say this about the Democrat-Republican Party all the time. They're the boyfriend that always says he's going to do better, but he never does. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do right this time. No, this time we may get Medicare for all. No, we haven't gotten it. Now we have a president that says if it gets to his desk, he'll veto it. But you're okay with that. I am not. But we're going to move on to the next one because you're like, girl, shut up with your going on.
If you're talking to me, I would say, no, everything you say is so true. And it's just, I'm still in my mind, just being here with you is interesting. I mean, I wish I had some statistics I could add and say, oh, yeah, in this state, we have up until this day to get those petitions.
Oh, I know our
more. I don't know all those people. But I hope I wasn't like, your 25th choice to have on your show. But I am glad to be here because just being in this space where we're like, congratulations, Dr. West. Like just having that idea in my mind and being able to share that for me, Miss Carson, and I appreciate it. And I'm just trying to learn.
Did you call me Miss Carson? Oh no,
you letting it around because
you're letting the gray hair fool you. Did you call me Miss Carson? Oh gosh.
I think you're probably younger than me. Miss Tracy. What is that? Is that okay?
Oh, I'm used to little children calling me that, but if that's what you want,
what did you didn't
just Tracy. Just Tracy. Just plain old Tracy.
I was just trying to extend. I was trying to be formal with you. That's
Oh,
all.
don't
Because I
do.
was imagining us all at the.
We're not formal on this show at all.
Imagine we're in that moment. Yeah, but imagine we're in that moment. We're all support. We're all celebrating. Then it's okay for me to say something like that, isn't it?
No,
Listen, I just meant it with love and
I
nothing
understand.
nothing but
It's a mean thing because I just
solidarity.
turned I just saw a half a century. Ugh.
Me too. I was
And
born in
I'm like,
'74.
yep. I was born January of 74.
Oh, you're a Capricorn?
I don't pay too much attention to astrology, so I
Oh,
have
stop.
no
I'm
idea.
sorry. That's not for the show.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I was born the
Oh,
fourth day
good.
of
I'm glad.
January,
That's a good.
1974. And boy, I'm like, look, first of all, where did 50 years go by?
We're the
Because it's,
same age.
oh, okay. What month were you born?
April.
Oh, so you had a birthday come up too. Okay. Well, let me tell you something and we're going to talk about the
I'll
Gaza
let you talk.
Congo situation because I think a lot of people forget about the Sudan and Congo, also where we're at, but that's a whole different point. Um, the third point, or the third most ignorant thing, and again, yes, after I say you definitely, I do want to hear your answer.
Okay.
Dr. West is only polling at 2%. He should drop out of the race and support Jill Stein.
Mm. Well, I haven't done my research. I don't really know a lot about Jill Stein. It's been a long time since I paid attention. I know that Dr. West considered being part of the Green, considered a Green Party nomination. Perhaps that was only in some states. I'm not really sure how that works, but he stepped aside from that. I was surprised at the time, but he was adamantly clear about that decision. It wasn't like there was no ifs or maybes. That was a done deal that he decided to be independent. So I don't have enough of a response probably, but I have to say, a lot of the things that work for me right now in this campaign, especially in this world where information is going left and back and forth and up and down all the time, and there's a lot of arguing going on about what is even true sometimes, or how much you can mold those things to be part of a certain perspective in a different context. Dr. West is somebody I trust to be honest and truthful about why and wherefore, and to give a very good explanation of background of where he stands. And I'm pretty sure that I don't always need to go research into somebody else's opinion about what he has said and what they think it means and things like that. So I just say that I have to say I trust him on this, and I don't know. I trust him for not going with the Green Party, and I think there's probably a really good reason for it.
I'm going
There
to
is.
add
I'm
to
sure there
it,
is.
and it's none of our business. He's the one that's going to have to make the decision. He's the one that made the decision to leave. He left because he wanted to. If he wanted to be with the Green Party, he would have stayed with the Green Party. If he wanted to be with the Movement for White People's Party, and yes, I'm going to still keep calling them that, because if you're against reparations,
Who's the White People's
me,
Party, Jill Stein?
no,
Oh,
no,
the Green
that's the
Party,
Green
you mean?
Party, not the Green. That's
Oh,
the Green Party.
you broke up.
Oh,
I couldn't hear what you were, because
I
it
said
faded.
that it didn't matter in terms of the polling. Let me backtrack because I'm going to say this and then it'll make sense. If we paid attention to polls, Hillary Clinton would be president instead of Trump. If we paid attention to polls, Hillary Clinton would have beat Barack Obama in the primaries. I'm not one for polls. I still feel it's early. I still feel like we got time to get out there. I still feel like we can do what we need to do. But ultimately, he should drop out. Again, you're not his parent. You cannot tell him what to do and when to do it. That's the other thing that I admire about Dr. West. He's his own person. He's going to do what's best for him. And the chips may fall where they may, but he made the decision um, to step away from the Green Party and
I
to
would
be.
go even further. I would go even further, and I may be wrong, but I believe Dr. West is not making his decisions based on what's best for him. He's making them based on what he thinks is the best thing for the world right now. Because I don't think it's the best thing for him to run for president. That's hard. That's such hard work. It's so amazing. I mean, it's crazy seeing, being at a rally and then picking up babies and hugging every person there, and then walking to the next place, getting on a plane, going over to Scotland and coming back, going to DC and all that, and not having the funds that anybody else has. It's hard. It must be so hard.
And thank you for mentioning funds, because again, people always say, well, why doesn't he have rallies? Rallies cost money. See, a rally, when you hold one, it costs money. We don't have publicly financed elections. We don't have that. And until we get that, you need to go to this website, CornelWest2024.com, and hit that donation button. It does not have to be, we're not asking you to give your whole income, $5. The campaign hasn't stopped me yet for saying you could do at least $5. Now, if you can't, obviously you can't. But if you could spare $5, I'm pretty sure the campaign would appreciate it. They haven't stopped me yet from saying that, and I'm going to keep saying it. But the whole thing about the polling, who are they surveying? Like, they always go with likely voters. Have they ever surveyed non-likely voters? They only call people with landline phones. Who has a landline in their house anymore? I don't. I have a mobile phone that's like, who's up here with a landline? Like, nobody. I mean, literally, that's who they target, is people with landlines.
That's crazy. That's
I
crazy.
don't even know anybody that has a landline. All five of them? Who is it?
No, I mean, there are people, there's a whole generation of people that never even saw a landline.
And Nelson says Cornel West normally would leave the political work to the politician, but seeing the void and the lack of worthy candidates, he decided to take it upon himself to run for the sake of the people. I agree. But, the polls, I mean, again, if you look at polls, Hillary Clinton should have won twice.
Right.
Instead of billing Bernie Sanders in her book, instead of blaming Jill Stein, who got 1.07% of the vote, instead of, so polls, they're valuable, but they're not.
It's complete. The landline thing is hilarious, I think. Yeah, no, that's right. You can't rely on polls for a lot of different reasons. With statistics are always skewed. You don't really know. And like you said, if Hillary Clinton would have been president twice.
Twice. Could you imagine that? Oh my gosh, we'd be in so many more wars. I don't know who's a bigger war hawk, Hillary Clinton or Genocide Joe. I'm like, it's like a contest, like who's the worst piece of Okay, so let me move on to the next one. Number 4. Dr. West running for president is a vanity project.
I think I was already. If my reaction to that is that this person is not about that at all. I mean, this person, again, it's a sacrifice to run for president. And there's nobody who, if you're talking about Dr. West, there's a lot of things about him. He's already in the public eye. He's already been one of the. He's an incredibly popular person in the media because he'll talk to anybody and everybody about anything with full, with eyes wide open and full presence and heart and soul to bear with really interesting commentary. He's really genius. I mean, it's amazing, but it's hard to it's hard to imagine. I mean, I don't want to sound cultish because I don't believe that it should be about the man as much as it should be about the movement and the message. And if you listen to what he says, you'll know it's not a vanity project. But I do think that, it's hard to find somebody who is so selfless, actually, and who is so really disciplined as a human being, on top of having a lot of skills and philosophy and beautiful, right ideas.
If it gets to a cultish, if you worship Dr. West, please seek help. I think it would be very comfortable me saying that because he'll say I have frailties. He's not
Of course.
perfect. He didn't die on that. See, I'm gonna go off on that Christianity tag, and I'm not. I said I wasn't gonna do that no more. But this is not a cult. We don't. We don't just. It. Let me put it this way: if Dr. West said something stupid like the Palestinians are just pampered, we would be like, "What did you just say?" We're not gonna just let that go. We're not gonna just be like, "Well, what he meant was," or if he said, "If you don't,"
Exactly.
or if he said, "If you don't vote for me, if you black and you don't vote for me, you ain't black." We're not gonna say, "Well, he got too familiar and what had happened." No, we're not gonna excuse if Dr. West does something stupid.
No, he gets called out. He's been called out. I've seen him called out.
Trust and believe. This girl right here, this one that you're looking at, the black one, me. I ain't gonna stand for her. I'm pretty sure Madeline won't either, but I can't speak for her because she can speak for herself. But no, that's another thing I hear. It's just a code. You all just love and work. No. No. But we realize he's our best chance.
And you know what? I know that he wouldn't have it any other way. That's the irony for me.
Exactly. He'd be like, why are you worshiping me? Why are you sitting here agreeing? No.
No, and Dr. West is all about the legacy of this country and of the people in this country, and trying to find the best of the people in this country and put them together in one group. And it takes a lot of critical self-criticism and deep, lifetimes worth of study to say, well, this is what we need to shoot for, because everybody's flawed. Everybody in the history of the world, and certainly all the leaders that were, that are now quoted as the fathers, if I may put that in quotations, the fathers of this nation, which is weird to me because that's a cultish way to put it.
You mean them slave owning people? Oh, shut up, Tracy. See, I'm gonna go there. I didn't mean to go there. I didn't want to go there. I'm gonna be quiet.
It's truth. No, you spoke truth.
I'm like,
it's truth. And, and look, that's what I think is what's beautiful about this movement, is that I could be here with you. And that's what I support about this movement, is speaking truth, justice, and love. Love is that's a whole other podcast. What is love? But yeah. That's the point. And the point is, he would have it no other way. That's one of the reasons why I support Dr. West. He wants that critical thought. He wants us to say, well, wait a minute, what's wrong with this? Okay. That's why I like to start with, let's get him on the ballot and listen to what he has to say. Because I'm sure most people have not been listening because they've got all this other noise. We all have it.
Exactly. Well, here's the next one. And I'm gonna say this: we have a lot of trolls. They come on the comment section. See, they're not brave enough to come onto the show because they know I'm gonna block them. Because I don't take on to when people say, "I hope he dies" or something like that. I don't play with you. I just block you.
Yeah,
I wouldn't wish that. Good. I don't wish that. I don't even wish that on Trump. And y'all know I don't like Trump. I don't even go that far with Trump. And he's like dirt garbage to me. So you're not going to say that? But I had one interesting comment in my comment section. And I could tell, I'm like, oh, so you must listen to Due Dissidence, Heartlands Media, and our Revolutionary Black Network. And this is one I definitely want you to answer. Dr. West is not a serious candidate.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. That's the criticism. He's not serious, so we can't take him serious.
Well, I mean, again, listen to what he has to say. How is that not serious? Like you said to me earlier, you said, here's the platform: abolish poverty, abolish homelessness, establish federal public banking institutions to fund public infrastructure and green reconstruction. There's universal basic income, wealth tax on billionaire holdings and transactions, tax loopholes for the oligarchy, $27 minimum wage with special considerations. I mean, I'm just looking at the economic justice that, I haven't spent time on all of this, but that's what you need to hear. Is that not serious?
Not to them, because
it's a heart attack.
It was hard for me not to block, because I said no, I'm gonna let it stay up there, because I'm gonna go back and put that link, because I want people, because I can answer it, but I'm like, no. I sometimes like to sick my fans. I'm like, y'all take care of that for me, because see, I'll go there. I'll go there, because I'm like, why is he not a serious candidate? Like, what does he have to say to make you think that he's not a serious candidate? Like,
you want him to become part of the system. It sounds like that's the only thing you could that you can say to say it's not serious, because he wants to abolish he wants to take down the empire. Well, if that's not serious, that is serious. I don't know what that means, serious.
I don't either. That's my criticism. I'm like, what do you mean by serious? Like, what? It's such a crazy criticism that it's one that I don't understand. We already talked about the Vanity Project. This one. I forgot about this one. Oh my goodness, I forgot about this one. Probably one of my least favorite criticisms. Dr. West can't be trusted to be the president of the United States because he changes his mind too much. He started out with the movement for a white people's party. Then he changed to the Green Party. Then he went independent, and now he's starting the Justice for All Party. If he can't make up his mind about who he is politically, he's going to be a poor president.
But to me, that's the definition of a good president, is that he looked around, he paid attention, he went and he met people, he considered the nomination by those parties. And by the way, I don't know what this white people's party thing is.
Okay, they're called the Movement for a People's Party, but I glossed them Movement for a White People's Party, because those are the only issue. Those are the only issues like I think they don't know what a black person is. Cause they have no, I'm like, y'all got anybody black in your campaign? Like anybody? They got Latinos, they got Asian. I don't see nobody look like, and they're against reparations. And for me, when you're against reparations, it's like I'm cutting you off. I don't take you. You're rooted in white supremacy. And plus, some of the things that Nick Bronner said.
Is Dr. West the only? Is he the only candidate who has come out and said he's for reparations ever?
Here's how I'll say it. Dr. West is the strongest advocate for reparations. But the Green Party does have a platform for reparations. I can't be not fair. They do. Okay. But I think that Dr. West is a stronger advocate for it, because he tells us how we're going to get there. So to me, it's one thing to say you're for it. Okay, but no, what's the amount? Like, he's actually named an amount, which is really important for me. Right? That's an important thing. I've heard him talk about some estimates being like $238,000 per descendant of an African slave, but I can't say that other third party candidates aren't for it. I know the Libertarian Party isn't either,
No.
But I know that I can't say that the Green Party isn't when I know that they do have a platform that addresses and supports reparations. So I had to be fair. Even though I have other criticisms of the Green Party, and I'm not gonna get to those because this ain't that show. I do, before I want to get to the last one here, do want to talk about this fundraiser. Um, Again, this is a virtual comedy show. It's Tuesday, June the 18th. You have to
There's
register.
nothing like comedy in the world to keep us all alive.
Laughing,
Comedy,
yes.
laughing, dark comedy,
We're going to have a good time.
Happy, whatever.
So, I haven't done the flyer
great.
yet, but I'm leaving it up there so that you can copy it. It'll take you right to the registration page. Then that'll link you up to the donation page. Because without a donation, you're not going to get the link. But I still want to leave that up there for a bit. But what I want to talk about here at the end, and I can't believe we're at an hour already. That was went by. I'm like,
went by fast.
I want to talk about volunteering and what volunteers face. And I'm pretty sure the campaign has never stopped me from saying this, and they won't. We need volunteers. If you are for Cornel West and you're not volunteering, I have to ask what's wrong with you, right? Because getting him on the ballot is the absolutely most necessary thing possible. Yes, you can write him in because he is eligible for a write-in. But we know how difficult write-in candidacies can be. They are difficult.
It's not the same thing. I mean,
it's not obviously. And you just said it's not the same thing. So whether you live in New York, Indiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Wisconsin, like we're gonna skip, the states where he's already on the ballot. Congratulations to those states. But we got some states to go, right? And I'm making my plea to everybody out there that supports Dr. West to please volunteer to get ballot access. I know you get ballot, you can do tax banking, but I'm specifically asking for ballot access because if he doesn't get on the ballot, it's going to be very hard. I don't want to use.
He's on the ballot in Vermont, North Carolina, South Carolina, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, and Arkansas. That's significant. That's a lot of.
But people. Guess what? A lot of other states are missing.
Oh, they are?
Yes, there's a lot of states where he's not on the ballot, and that's the point I'm getting to. He's on the ballot in all those states that you just named.
I thought you meant there were more states that he's on the ballot.
No, I said no.
I'm looking at this HQ. It's called Ballot Access HQ, which is visible when you go on the website cornelwest2024.com. You can see the map, and you can click on your state and get information about what's happening there. And I think what's interesting about that you were saying about how being a write-in candidate is not the same as being on the ballot. And one of the things that first comes to my mind is you don't know how many other people are with you, and you need solidarity. You need other people to feel amplified, to feel fortified, to feel like you're part of this quote moment in a movement. We got to have that for each other. We have to have each other's back. I went to that rally and it was so fortifying and moving for me. I walked up and I saw Miss Corey Pickering. She found me. I didn't know she was out there waiting for me. She was outside waiting for me to show up because she asked me to come and do a couple songs. She grabbed me and gave me this big hug, and she said, there's not a million people here. And I was like, it doesn't matter. I don't care if there's anything you learn from being a musician is that you have one person in the audience and you up on stage. That's meaningful. That's the bottom line. You got to make connections with people that agree and believe in the things that you care about. because otherwise you're just trying to carry the world on your shoulders all the time. Okay, I'll be quiet.
No, keep going. No, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That was great because I was, of course, I don't know why I go to these podcasts where I know I'm going to be mad at the people for criticizing Cornel West. I know I'm going to be mad, but yet I just go right to it.
You're taking it on.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? Let's bring it. Let's just go ahead. Oh well, nobody was at it. Well, how do you know that you attend? Like, were you there? I'm assuming there was more than 3 people there.
Oh, it was beautiful. And not only that, I didn't know Dr. West was going to be there. His name wasn't on there. He showed up because he had flown from Scotland to DC the day before, spoken in DC, and came back to Harlem where he lives. But they didn't say he was going to be there. And he was there looking fresh as a,
Yeah, that's one thing I would say. Hey, Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah, get some sleep.
He
Get
looked
some.
amazing. No, he looked great, but he was so loving, and I was grateful to meet him. I have a few songs on this record that I worked on. I'm putting out later on in June, and those were written with. Some of them were Cornel West words that I put in the lyrics, and so I sang those 3 songs at the rally in front of him. And I had never met Dr. West, so I was a little nervous. I was like, okay, now what did I put myself into? And I was nervous, but it was beautiful. And that's just basically the point of all this is amplification, or at least that's how I think about it, because I think about music. And, it's just getting 2 voices are louder than each voice added to each other.
Exactly.
We're bigger than the sum of our parts.
Exactly. And speaking of his tour in Edinburgh, Scotland, Cornel West was in a university in Edinburgh, Scotland, and did 6 lectures that got standing ovations for them. And in the end, he was invited to return, and perhaps it would be as president in the United States. I can only hope so. I want America, because here's what I'll say. Let me tell you something. There's a couple reasons people say, well, why'd you name it that show? Well, one, if I didn't believe that he could do it, I'd been like, I just would have been like, oh, well, he could.
It's true.
There's no way. Let me backtrack this. When people question whether I believe that Dr. West has the qualifications to be president, my answer is unequivocally yes. There's no hesitation. There's no, However, when I address the question to them as to why I should vote for Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or RFK, it's, well, they're not the other one.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. You got to tell me what you gonna do. You can't just say, I'm not that guy. Listen, people, especially the vote blue, no matter who crap, I'm not Donald Trump. So what I'll do is I'll run for president in 2028. Yeah, and I know Project 2025, they don't believe there'll be an election, but there will be. I'll run for president and I'll just say I'm not Donald Trump. That's my whole platform. What you gonna do about the economy? I'm not Donald Trump. What you gonna do about homelessness? I'm not Donald Trump. That's all you have. When you say
the problems are real, it's more than fighting for who is president, because there are a lot of people that are basically in control of things, no matter who is president, right? Like if you look at where power comes from, it's not only from the presidency. And when you look at the way we're set up right now, it's from people that have money. And those are the people that are
right. Backing. And if you're tired of that, because I know you're tired of it, you're struggling. You're living paycheck to paycheck. The money that could be spent on you is being spent on Israel to bomb Palestinians who did nothing to them. But you're okay with voting for a Joe Biden or a Donald Trump because, well, we can't afford to have the other one. There's a third way you can absolutely vote, and that absolutely vote has to go to Dr. West. I know others have said that they're for free Palestine, but Dr. West is one of the few candidates, the only one I've heard so far, that says he's also for ending the occupation, which to me, those go hand in hand. And until we vote different, we're going to keep getting the same thing. And that's what you really should think about. If you're tired of your money going to Ukraine and all these other countries where you're like, well, why? You have to vote for Dr. West. That I don't know how plain and simple I can make it, but that's as plain and simple as I can make it.
And to get him on the ballot, meet up with other people that agree already, because they're there. We're all out here somewhere. It's just hard to find each other in a world where there's so much noise coming at you from other, situations, like forcing us to listen to this, that, or the other type of news and try to figure out what's going on in the world. So I guess maybe, Tracy, your audience is probably on Slack, right? Or they can volunteer to get into.
They can volunteer because, and another reason
all it takes is signing up. You get emails in your inbox. It's nothing to it, and just start there.
Absolutely.
Start by getting your email.
This is another good point. Can't vote blue no matter who, and just because you're green doesn't mean that you're keen. Just vote West because he's the best. Absolutely. That's absolutely. Just vote West because he's the best. That's as simple as it can get. We don't have another choice. If for some odd, strange reason that America says, you know what, I'm just going to vote because I don't think Biden is winning. But I could be wrong. I said he wasn't going to win the first time. But if things stay the way that they are, that doesn't mean we're going to quit. Right? This isn't over. This is just, Dr. West running for president is the start of a movement.
Yes, we can get to know each other and create that net of solidarity for the right reasons. And we're not going to get another chance at doing that in the name of somebody who really does know what they're talking about, which is Dr. Cornel West. He wants us to be part of something. It's not just giving up a vote.
Exactly. And so, I know this time went by way faster than I thought. But I want to encourage everybody that isn't volunteering for Dr. West, because we get a lot of comments after the show has gone off, and then I post and everybody starts commenting, including my favorite troll, who I won't respond to. But that's okay. You have the right. You have the constitutional right to be wrong. It's okay.
That's America.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you don't have to like it, but
we don't need it. We don't have to stop it.
I definitely, like Madeline said, go to this website, CornelWest2024.com. You can read about the platform. You can drop a $5 donation, maybe 10 if you have it, but if you don't, that again, we understand money's tight. It's tight for everybody. Trust us. That's why Dr. West is running. Because it's hard for Americans. But we have to do something. And I'm glad to support a candidate that realizes, it's not about just me. This is about for the greater good. And I can't say that about even other third-party candidate runs. I can't. Dr. West is the only one I can say that about.
And I don't think there's ever been a political campaign in history where the word love was the message, was in the platform.
Yep, truth, justice, and love. That's exactly what it is.
Everybody, you don't believe in that. What do you believe in?
What do you believe in? I definitely want to thank everybody for coming. I do want to make one announcement before I head off, and we're going to play a commercial here at the end. The last week of June and the first week of July, there will not be a show. Tracy is going to take herself a staycation. I don't have any money to go anywhere, but I'm not going to do any podcasts. Let me get those exact dates up so I can tell you guys. I will not be doing a podcast for 2 weeks because I'm just not. So There will not be a podcast June 29th or July the 6th. There will not be a podcast June 29th or July the 6th. And I may do a special DNC convention watch and laugh podcast on this show to point out.
I might watch that. That sounds fun.
I might if
I don't know when it is, but it sounds good.
It'll be in August. I'll put it this way: if I get talked into it, I'll definitely consider it because I want to say, see how they line. This is why Cornel West is the better candidate.
Absolutely. But we got to have more of him and less of everybody else because his voice is so much more. I hate to say it like that, like as if I want to silence people, but really, some people really don't have anything to say. I find it hard to feel like I could speak for this campaign sometimes when I think about it, because I've just been listening to him and it's so amazing. I feel like it's a great responsibility to try to be somebody on that side, but we just got to hear more of what he actually has to say and really listen. You got to take some time to listen to this stuff because it's contextual. This man is talking about the confluence of all kinds of history and literature and art and theology and philosophy. And of course, bringing it down to something that nobody really understands, which is America. Because what is this place? It's a madhouse. It's a madhouse. And there's a lot of different opinions and ideas and facts going on. And case in point, here I am just talking. I don't even know where.
Nope, what you're saying, I absolutely agree with. So, of course, you all know I play the volunteer video for the state of Indiana that we have going up. So I'll play it now, and then we'll say our goodbye. So here we go.
We need all the tired, poor, huddled masses of America who have had enough of the two-headed snake that has been our parties and our current and former president. Please sign up at cornelwest2024.com volunteer or scan the QR code to join the movement for a new choice. Join us on Mondays at 7:15 p.m. EST by scanning the QR code. Paid for by Hoosiers for Dr. Cornel West for president.
And that's our little commercial.
That's beautiful.
So I will play that every week, even though I know most of my viewers aren't in Indiana, but I'm taking a chance. So
that's beautiful.
Everyone that's watching this, remember to share this podcast or broadcast or whatever you call it. Share this video. Share this video to Facebook. I'm actually challenging people to share this. Share this. We need way more viewers than we had last week. That was one of our lowest shows, and I'm used to the 200s. And I think we had like 43 views last week. That's just not gonna work. So I'm gonna need y'all help to get it out there. I realized last week we had a guest that didn't show, so we had to kind of work on the fly. But share this video. Even the one last week was good, but that one kind of took me by surprise. But share this video, like this video. I never had to ask people to comment afterwards because you always do. So remember to like, comment, and share. Because I don't ask for subscribers. That's for my other podcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Have a great day. Let's get Dr. West on the ballot. Some of us just have a month to go. Let's get it done. If we're going to go down defeat, we're going to go down fighting. Period. Point blank. This is a moment in a movement, not a movement in a moment. No, a moment in a movement. Thank you all. Have a fantastic evening.
Nice to meet you, Tracy.
Thank you.